Most people kind of suck at Valorant. Today, I wanted to explain the concept of lurking since it's a role that very few people play correctly, but lots of people like to play. Lurking essentially means getting into unexpected spots on the map, usually deep in enemy territory or near key rotation paths for the purpose of getting information or finding easy kills on unsuspecting players. What most people seem to misunderstand about lurking is that it's not just about being that solo player heroically winning duels away from your team. There are certain agents, for example, that are much better at lurking than others. Viper is one of those agents, and in this round we are going to see a pretty standard opening sequence on Icebox. The attackers show pressure towards the A site with 4, while Viper, played by Marved, smokes middle and then crosses to the entrance of Tube. One of the things that makes Viper a strong lurker is that she can preemptively throw a wall for her team and give them smokes while being somewhere else on the map. This is why a lot of the best lurking agents have some sort of global utility, like Astra, Omen, Cypher, and Chamber. Now that Viper is safely in Tube, the rest of the attack players pivot their attention back towards the B site. We can see that Viper is simply holding an angle inside of Tube and waiting to see if anyone will push down for information, and constantly listening for any sound cues of the defense moving around the kitchen and mid areas. As the attack begins to push down B long, Viper walks up Tube to get closer to spawn where they can hear the rotations. However, there is a trademark trap placed just inside the entrance that Viper cannot pass without giving away their position. Instead of breaking the trap, Viper simply sits just outside of the range while communicating to the rest of the team about all of the rotations that they can hear through the middle of the map. The most ideal scenario for this spot would be if the defending chamber somehow dies, which would deactivate the trademark and allow Viper to come from an unexpected spot to flank the defense. Even if chamber survives, Viper can eventually break the trap and attack from behind to cause chaos during the post plant. It all comes down to timing. OpTic eventually gets the plant down and Viper continues to sit in Tube, hearing the final player from A eventually rotate through spawn. Then a huge kill happens as Ye eliminates the defending chamber, and we can see Viper instantly begins to move into the kitchen. Marved almost immediately finds a kill on the defending Sova, and this splits the defense's attention. Even though it's only one kill, the distraction and damage buys enough time for OpTic to reset their post plant and eventually close out the round. A huge part of being a successful lurker is finding the correct timing to make your move. You have to read the game to know whether making a long lurk is worth it or if you're just leaving your teammates down a player for the entire round. The second important concept is valuing your life, and in this example we can see Chamber, played by Laz, cross the Tube and push up into kitchen. In this case, he breaks the defense's trademark and peeks out to also see Viper on the B bridge. The defenders respond by sending it in a drone and rotating several players towards the middle of the map to try and catch him. Laz is stuck, but it's also buying time for his teammates to rotate towards the A site. He gets tagged down to 4 HP, but finds a miraculous shot on Sova to stay alive a bit longer, causing a huge problem for the defenders. They saw the attackers running towards the A site to plant, but they also know that there is a chamber in their kitchen, and 2 of the defenders still need to rotate through this now dangerous area of the map. By staying alive, Laz has bought enough time for his teammates to get the spike to A, and the defenders now need to split their greater numbers to deal with him and the spike at the same time. Watch how he crouches down and stops peeking as he recognizes how important his life is in this moment. The longer he lives, the longer his team has a 3 against 2 fight on the A site to control the spike. Those numbers favor ZETA division as they find both kills on the A site, while Laz continues to creep around in middle. He just misses an unbelievable timing on Viper, who is crossing through middle and probably would have sealed the round right there, but does end up getting shot from behind by the chamber, who is also rotating a little bit later. This is still a valuable play though, because it confirms the exact position of both remaining defenders and buys even more time for his teammates to set up their post-plant positions, which eventually allows them to close out the round. I want to just quickly contrast this play to a similar lurk by TSM's chamber player, 7. He finds a huge lurking kill on the defending Viper here, steals a gun away, and distracts 2 players while his team overwhelms the B site. However, instead of just taking the kill and then playing to counter Sage's resurrect, which is probably coming, he takes and loses a fight against Sage immediately. This ends up giving up a free resurrect and also removes the pressure from the defenders of having a flanker behind them. 100 Thieves is able to take their time to then regroup and ends up fighting their way back onto the B site and winning the round. Lurking kills can create a huge amount of pressure on the other team, so it's really important not to immediately give that advantage away if you want to maximize your impact. If you like playing the lurk, I highly recommend recording some of your games so you can go back and watch to see just how good or bad your timing was. The easiest VOD review tool to do that with is the sponsor of this video, insights.gg, link in the description below. I'm one of those people that really hates fighting for the duelist role, so I find myself playing smokes in like 95% of my games, and this has forced me to learn how to lurk more effectively. So I spend a lot of time looking at the smokes and lurk role players in the professional scene and just trying to understand what makes a good timing and how to get yourself into some of these tricky positions. And I'll be perfectly honest, my aim is not my strong point in this game. I will never be able to compete with some of the top duelists out there, so I am happy to be able to find a role and a way to impact the game, even in solo queue, that is highly effective, and especially in ranked games is something that most people just don't really understand very well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't already, be sure to check out this next one to learn a bit more about positioning.